Hi everyone and welcome to your 30-minute heart opening flow. If you're new to the channel, welcome. I really hope you enjoy this class. Let me know in the comments if you do. You'll notice if you're regular to the channel that we're in a slightly different place. So I'm actually filming this from Paris, which is really lovely, but it does mean that I don't have use or I don't have access to as many blocks or props as possible. So if you don't have a block, you might want to grab yourself a pillow or a cushion that's quite thick or a hardback book. So think maybe a Harry Potter, something that's a little bit thicker, as we are going to come into a supported bridge. We're going to get started down on our back. So when we're ready, coming down to there and coming into any position that's comfortable. So it might be that you take feet out a little bit wider than hip distance and then knock those knees together. It might be that you take legs out long. So coming to wherever feels good and just taking a second to ground here. So allowing the body to release down into the mat, into the earth. So readjust here if you need. Take any final last movements. So maybe you pick up those shoulders and place them back down. Maybe it's a movement of the head side to side. And then option to take those hands either onto the belly or maybe one hand on the belly, one hand on the heart space. And just take a second here to check in with that breath. So as always, drawing that attention, that awareness inwards. And we're going to be practicing today with this idea of heart opening. So softening through the heart space, looking at our heart chakra, anahata. And before we start today, I'd like us to think of this idea of contentment. So finding that contentedness within our practice and welcoming in our bodies and our breaths exactly as they are today. So never pushing that practice more than you need to. So take a second to just welcome in where you are. Ask yourself, how does the body feel today? How does the breath feel today? So it might be long, it might be reaching the belly, you might feel that rise and fall. Might be a little bit shorter, only reaching the chest. So wherever it is, welcome it in. Notice the feel of your hands on the body, moving with that inhale and that exhale. So taking a releasing breath here, in through the nose, out through the mouth, let it go. And then starting to find wiggles through fingertips, through toes. We're going to start to move into a supported bridge. So taking those legs up, taking soles of the feet to the ground, knees hip distance apart, feet hip distance apart. And if you don't have a block here, option to push down through the feet and just come into a bridge and just pause here. And when you need a break, taking those hips back down, taking a second. If you do have a block or you've got a cushion or a book, whatever it may be, pushing down through those feet and lifting up through the hips, placing that cushion or block underneath the lower back as some support, and then lowering down. So hands maybe remain on the belly if you're on a cushion, slightly lower, or maybe they come down to the sides of the body, palms into the earth. And we take a couple of seconds to ground here, starting to wake up through the spine, through the back. Noticing how this feels through the body. If you've got a block, checking in with which height you're using it at. If it feels too high, maybe easing down, softening slightly. So our practice today is all about softening, letting go, finding that release. When you're ready, taking one more inhale here. Exhaling. Next inhale that you find pushing down through soles of the feet, so body starts to engage, lifting the core up and taking away that prop. So keeping within that bridge. And noticing how everything's starting to switch on. We're lifting those hips up towards the sky, glutes switch on, legs switch on. And then we're going to take the arms up, above and over the head. Take a big inhale here. And as you exhale, sweep the arms back, lower the body down. So we're going to take 2 more of these. Inhale to move up. We're moving with that breath. Exhaling, releasing down. 1 more. Inhale to rise. Exhale to release. This time drawing knees up into the chest, wrapping arms around and just taking a rock from side to side. So noticing that lower back, lumbar spine grounding into the mat. And then taking hands behind the knees and starting to find some rolls forwards and backwards. So take a few, find that momentum. And then eventually we come up into this cross-legged position. So maybe you use the hands to help you get there. And just take a second here, keeping eyes closed, taking hands onto the knees, dropping chin down through chest. And starting to just wake up the upper body. So we're going to take the hands behind us, lift through the heart space. Maybe those eyes start to flutter open here as you take the gaze up towards the sky. As we exhale round through that back, take fingertips forwards. Inhale, we draw up. Exhale to round. So finding a seated cat-cow. Inhale, rise up. Exhale, release through center. And then draw back up, allow spine to be neutral. This time eyes definitely open, taking those arms up towards the sky on the inhale. Exhale, right hand goes towards that left knee, left fingertips behind us. We find an easy twist. Maybe that gaze goes behind as well. Just taking a breath here, inhaling. Exhale, releasing, coming back through center. As we arrive in center, we inhale, draw those arms up again. As we exhale, left hand to right knee, left fingertips behind us. Maybe the gaze comes behind, maybe it's a little softer. Take an inhale here, starting to wake up through that spine. Exhaling, just release. Take a second here. And then we're going to walk those hands forwards. So we're coming into almost a forward fold. We're taking, maybe those forearms come down, maybe you stay up on the fingertips. If you're up on those fingertips, see if you can find an undulation here. So as you inhale, lift up slightly. As you exhale, maybe you soften, coming onto the forearms. So we inhale to rise up. Exhale, release, and this is minimal movement, just starting to link in with that breath. Inhale to rise, exhale to soften. Once you get there, softening down. So maybe head comes towards mats, maybe head even comes towards a cushion or a block. Maybe you're up on those fingertips, so fingertips are supporting. But allow yourself a few breaths here. Breathing in and out. One more breath in. Exhale, releasing. And then using those hands, peeling them back towards you. We're going to untangle, unfurl the legs and come into a tabletop. So taking shoulders above wrists, hips above knees. And we just start to find some movement here through the upper body. So as we inhale, lifting that chest forwards, dropping belly. Exhale to round. And we take a few breaths here, so make this intuitive. So if you don't feel like staying with that cat-cow, maybe you start to move around in circles. Maybe you start to pad fingertips out towards the sides of the mats. Maybe even fingertips towards you, get a nice stretch out through the forearms. So whatever it is here, take what you need. So really take a second to pause. Maybe it's simply stillness, so maybe you drop back, you find a child's pose, reach the arms forwards. If it's movement that you need, just ask yourself what would feel really nourishing here. So call and response. Ask yourself that question and then respond through the movements. There are no rights and no wrongs here. Just what feels good for you in this very moment, not what might have felt good yesterday, not what might feel good tomorrow. What feels good now? Learning to show yourself that bit of self-love when you come to the mats, to give yourself what you need. When we're ready, we tuck under toes and we start to lift those knees off, drawing hips up and then back. So we come into our first downward dog of the practice. And make this a stretchy one. So pedal out through the feet, move through the head, through the neck. Take a second here. Don't worry too much about where that alignment is. Just allow yourself to feel into whatever movement works here. When we're ready, starting to tiptoe feet in towards the hands, we'll start to take a bend through the knees. So we're softening through the knees. We transfer that weight into the feet. Take hands to opposite elbows, finding a sway from side to side. And then option to stay here, take a pause. Maybe you find that stillness here, really allowing that head to hang heavy. Or maybe you take the left hand down in front of the left foot, take a bend through that left leg, straighten through the right as we inhale, peel right arm up towards the sky, extending through fingertips. Feel that line of energy moving down the arm into the upper body. Option to wrap this right hand around and maybe find that left thigh. That you find that grasp with the left thigh, opening that chest up to the sky just that little bit more. One more inhale here. Exhale, softening, bending through both knees, coming towards that other side. So bending through the right leg, straightening through left. Left hand peels up. Notice that line of energy, that pull through the arm down into the body. And then if you want to, wrapping that arm around, finding the right thigh. Inhale here. Exhale, releasing, bend through both knees, soften. And then starting to rise up vertebrae by vertebrae. Slowly, slowly taking that time, rolling back through the shoulders. Taking that gaze forwards as we arrive in our Tadasana, grounding down through the feet. As we inhale, drawing those arms up above the head, taking gaze towards the hands. As we exhale, seeing if we can find a small back bend here. It doesn't have to be big, so only going as far as feels comfortable. And then inhale, coming back through center. Exhale, rolling down, forward fold, Uttanasana, soft knees. As we inhale, lifting halfway up, Ardha Uttanasana, straight backs, gaze forwards. As we exhale, hands find the mat, we plant down. Step or jump those feet back, high plank. Working through your vinyasa, so dropping knees, untucking toes, lowering chest. Or from your high plank, coming through your chaturanga, rolling forwards. As we inhale, tucking under toes, upward facing dog, or maybe you take baby cobra. As we exhale, tuck under those toes, draw it back, downward facing dog. Starting to warm up here now, so checking in with that alignment, feet hip distance apart, hands shoulder distance apart. As we inhale, seeing if we can roll forwards, come through to high plank. As we exhale, starting to bend through the knees, and then we push back. Find ourselves in that downward facing dog again. So take a few of these. Inhaling to roll forwards, exhale, drop knees, push back. Just noticing how this feels as you go. Option to reverse that movement. So from our downward facing dog, bending through those knees first, pushing forwards and then rolling back. So your choice. The reverse might feel a little strange if you're used to going the other way. So have a try. Just starting to wake up through the body. Coming back to that downward facing dog when you're ready, just taking a moment of stillness, so we're pushing down through those hands. From this downward facing dog, we take an inhale, right leg sweeps up towards the sky, three-legged dog. On the exhale, we plant this foot forwards in between the hands. Inhale to rise up, we find our high lunge. Find space for the shoulders here, find a wiggle. We're pushing down through the feet, hips facing forwards, legs switched on, engaged, lifting up through fingertips. So core is working, Uddiyana Bandha. Inhale, draw up. So we exhale, hands come down through heart center. Thumbs, maybe find that third eye as we drop chin down to chest. And we start to open through that heart space. So as we inhale, we cactus open the arms, extend through fingertips. Maybe that gaze goes up to the sky. We find a small back bend. Taking two more here. So exhale to close. Inhale to open. Exhale, round and close. Inhale, open. Exhale, come back through neutral. Hands together, Anjali Mudra through heart center. Drop that back knee down, untuck back toes, arrive in that low lunge. So we want to push down through that right foot, find a right angle. Inhale, lift here. Exhale, lower down. Slightly deepen. As we inhale, draw those arms up. As we exhale, take left arm forwards, right arm back. We find ourselves in a twist. So that gaze maybe goes towards the back of the room. Right hand then might come down on the inhale and left arm reaches up towards the sky. Maybe the gaze follows. Pausing here. Inhaling and exhaling. Next inhale, we draw those hands back into the twist. Tuck under the back toes and see if we can push up. So we draw ourselves back into that high lunge and then we come back to that reverse again. So arm reaches up towards the sky, gazing towards those fingertips. Inhale here and exhale. Next inhale, cartwheeling both arms over, seeing if you can frame that foot. Step right foot back, so we're in that plank again. We work through our vinyasa, so knees and chest or chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog. Pause here in that upward facing dog. So toes are tucked under, legs are lifting off the mat. We're pushing down through the hands, gaze forwards, lifting through that chest. So often that we take a pause here. So inhaling, as we exhale, tuck under toes, draw back, downward facing dog. From here, we're going to take some down dog, up dog variations. So as we inhale, we're going to keep the toes tucked this time. So keeping the toes where they are. As we inhale, we're going to roll forwards, drop the belly, lift the chest. So we're in this up dog variation, but with the toes tucked, so it's a little different. As we exhale, drawing back, downward facing dog. So taking two more. Inhale to roll forwards. Exhale, draw it back. Inhaling forwards. Exhale, draw back, down dog. Take a second here, maybe a releasing breath. So breathing in through that nose, releasing out through the mouth. Option here as well to take a child's pose for a few breaths. Take a pause. Now start to come towards that opposite side. So pushing down through that right foot. So as we inhale, left leg sweeps up towards the sky, three-legged dog. As we exhale, we place it in between the hands, plant down. We inhale, root to rise, lift those fingertips up, find that space for the chest. Breathe in here. As you exhale, palms of the hands come together, down through heart center, brushing through that third eye, chin down to chest, and we come back to those cactuses. So inhale, open that heart space up. Maybe you find that back bend. Exhale, round and close. Two more times. Inhale to open. Exhale to release. Inhale. And exhale. When you come back through center, hands together, dropping that back knee down, untucking back toes, we're in that low lunge. So push down through that left foot first, lift up, engage through that core. As you exhale, seeing if you can deepen slightly, so allowing ourselves to sink down, but keeping everything engaged. We inhale, draw those arms up above the head. As we exhale, right arm goes forward, left arm back, we find that twist. And then maybe on the next inhale, the right arm rises, left hand maybe rests on the back leg, and we take that gaze up to the sky. Finding that heart opening. Inhaling here and exhaling. Next inhale, draw arms back to that twist. We tuck under the back toes, see if we can push down through the feet, rise back up, high lunge. Take a pause here. And then next inhale, we come back. Right arm lifting up towards the sky, left hand maybe resting on that back leg. Taking just one more breath here, inhaling As you exhale, sweeping both arms forward, framing that foot, stepping left foot back, coming into that high plank, and then from here coming through your vinyasa. So option to come straight to a child's pose or coming through that chaturanga. As you inhale, coming into that up dog. Take an extra breath here if you're taking that vinyasa. Inhaling, exhaling, tuck under toes, roll it back. Taking a breath here, and then when you're ready, dropping those knees, untucking toes. If you're on your child's pose, finding your way down to the belly. Similarly, if you were in that down dog, down onto the belly as well. From here, taking a wiggle through the hips, taking feet a little bit wider than hip distance, and then walking those fingers forwards. So coming onto fingertips a little bit wider than the shoulders, elbows up towards the sky, head down, and we're going to come into some Cobra Undulation. So as we inhale, just starting to lift off the belly and starting to straighten through the arms. They don't have to be completely straight. And at the end of that breath, we take that gaze all the way up to the sky. As we exhale, we start to roll down, head comes down, elbows come up again. Taking 2 more of these, noticing how that body starts to engage as you lift up, straighten through those arms, take gaze forwards. Exhale, roll it down. One more time, inhaling, drawing up. Exhale, finding that release. And then this time, walking hands back towards you, so towards the sides of the body, pushing down, rolling back onto the knees, hips lift. An option to come into a child's pose here or to come into Anahatasana. So if you come into child's pose, dropping hips back, forehead down to the mats. If you're in that Anahatasana, keeping hips where they are, walking fingertips, hands forwards, lowering forearms down to the mat, forehead coming down as well. So opening through the shoulders, through the upper body, through that heart space. Staying with that breath. Option to deepen here by coming onto the chin. If it feels too much, just drawing back to that forehead. Noticing this openness here. Checking in with all of those parts of the body connected to the mats, wherever you are. So taking one more breath. And as we exhale, just allowing those hands to draw back towards us. So keeping that head down, almost sliding hands towards us as we draw ourselves back. Slowly starting to peel up, arriving in kneeling, hands rested on knees. And as we get here, taking that gaze forwards, inhale, sweeping those arms up towards the sky. Gaze towards the hands. Exhale, draw them down through heart center, thumbs maybe resting on that third eye in between the eyebrows, and we come back to those cactuses from before. So as we inhale, we open, spread those fingers wide, take gaze up. As we exhale, we round and close. 2 more. Inhaling here. And exhaling. Inhale. And exhale. Closing everything down. And then taking those hands down to the mat, swinging those legs around. We're going to draw the knees up into the chest, wrap arms around, and just take a second here, forehead down on the knees, eyes closed. Giving the body a big hug. And then taking hands onto the knees, dropping knees out to the side, taking soles of the feet together, coming into our Baddha Konasana. So you can take hands around the feet here. Option to take 2 cushions or 2 blocks underneath the knees. And with the hands around the feet, on the inhale, just take a second to lift through that chest, find that opening. As we exhale, we're going to start to forward fold, but we're keeping that back nice and straight. So as soon as you start to feel that rounding happening, just stopping. Knowing that wherever you are, it's the right place. So it's this idea of moving forwards instead of moving down. So keep that gaze forwards, nice straight backs, using those hands to help you. And notice how this feels through the hips, through the groin. Taking a big breath in here. Exhaling, slowly releasing those legs. Rolling up and then taking those legs out in front. Take a big wiggle here through toes, through ankles, through upper body. And we're going to come into a floppy Paschimottanasana. So whereas we were keeping that back straight before, this time we're allowing it to round. So as you start to round, lowering down, taking the hands wherever they fall. They might fall onto the calves, they might fall to the sides of the legs. Taking a micro bend through the knees if that feels useful. Maybe you even sit up on a block or on a cushion. So you give yourself that extra lift before you start to round down. Or you might even take that cushion or pillow on top of the shins or on top of the knees and allow it to support the head as you round. So wherever you are here, seeing if you can let go of any active efforts. So scan through the body, noticing if there's anywhere where it's working hard. We're taking a slightly longer hold here as we start to wind down. So we're letting the body start to release, to let go. So closing through the eyes, coming back to that breath. And allowing everything to soften. So allow yourself to drop into sensation. Can you release, let go that little bit more? And maybe the breath helps you. So as you inhale, you slowly lift up slightly. Micro movement, and as you exhale, maybe you soften a little deeper. So if that feels helpful, maybe you take a few of these, even using those hands to slowly lift up. Exhale to release down. So finding these undulations. And when you get here, just taking a moment to arrive in stillness. As always, if you need to adjust, feeling free to. Knowing that if anything is rising up, you can listen to that body, check in with what you need. So if you feel like you need to adjust, move the feet slightly, allow yourself. A few more breaths here. Just winding down. Remembering that there's nothing to do here, nowhere to be. So if there are distractions coming up, seeing if you can take a moment to just be present with the breath, be present with the body. Notice sensations running through. Everything easing down. Sinking into the floor, into the mats. Letting go of that active efforts. Starting now to peel, easing away, keeping those eyes closed if you can, and rolling down onto the back. So you might take a heart opening here, you might take a pillow or a cushion, maybe a bolster, just behind you, so allowing your upper back to come down onto there, finding that lift. You might even drop those knees out to the side, soles of the feet together, find a Supta Baddha Konasana. If you're here, maybe hands rest on the thighs. But finding somewhere super comfortable, so I encourage you here to grab hold of a blanket. Keep that body warm. Maybe even jump into bed if that's an option. And allow yourself to really settle down. So covering that body. Closing down through those eyes. And remembering that this might not be where you come to. You can come to anywhere that feels comfortable, so wherever feels the most comfortable. You might be on your belly, maybe over to one side, curled up. Maybe you're just in a traditional Shavasana, no pillow, no lift, legs out long. Wherever you are, as you settle, starting to find that stillness, closing down through the eyes. And we've been working today with this idea of heart opening, softening through that heart space. quite often these heart openers can leave us in a position where we can feel open, sometimes even vulnerable. They can bring up a lot of emotion. So maybe today it has brought up emotion, memories, feelings, knowing that it's completely normal for that to happen. I invite you here to see if you can draw your mind to a place where you feel safe. So it might be that you tap into a memory. Maybe it's simply the presence of a person in your life that makes you feel stable, grounded. So see if you can imagine somewhere where you feel truly held. Might even just be a spot in nature that you return to. Wherever it is, really see if you can go there. So explore that landscape. Maybe you imagine smells, sounds that you associate with this place. Allow yourself to drop in. Now be aware that this place that we're thinking of, it's a place that lives inside you. It's a place that you can always choose to come back to. So you can always choose to come back to here. So during our practice, when things pop up that aren't serving us, or even maybe day to day when things come up, know that you always have the capability to check back in, to surround yourself in this safe space. It's always there waiting for you. And if not the safe space, that capability to just come back to breath, to come back to body, to slow down. So opportunity to stay here for a little bit longer. Or if you're ready, if you're in the Supta Baddha Konasana, moving really mindfully as you draw those knees back together, maybe using hands to help. Wherever you are, keeping those eyes closed and just rolling over onto one side. So coming off any props, any blocks, and just taking a few breaths here before slowly in your own time, there's no rush, making your way up to seated, keeping those eyes closed. If you've got a blanket around you or you're wrapped up, keeping that blanket on, so maybe wrapping it around the shoulders, keeping warm. And when you arrive here, just taking hands onto knees, dropping chin down through chest. And taking a second for a moment of gratitude. So a moment to thank yourself for finding the time to come to the mats. Finding the time to practice. And then maybe you dedicate your practice today. Dedicate it to someone who is within that heart space, someone dear to you. When you're ready, sealing the practice, taking an inhale through the nose. Exhaling out through the mouth. Gently fluttering open eyes, coming back to the space, coming back to the room, taking your time here. So thank you guys very much for practicing with me today. Really hope you enjoyed the class. If you did, please give me a subscribe. I post a new video every week. And if anybody's got any suggestions for what they'd like to see or any class themes that they'd like to do, please let me know. And I hope you have a lovely rest of the day. Thank you.